Hey guys, hope you're doing well. Today the Fusion gets a full color change. We're going to be wrapping the car in VinylFrog's Candy Metallic Silver Gray Blue. Now this color, when I move it around, you'll see it has a little bit of purple in there, which is a little misleading because it's not in the name, but purple being my favorite color, I'm not complaining one bit. I will admit though, I've only seen this color in photos. I'm very curious to see what it's going to look like in person, on video, on an entire car where we can actually see the shift in action. I think it's going to be gorgeous. Now, not only are we going to be wrapping the car, we're also going to be adding a ton of new parts. We got new headlights, new fog lights, new bumper with some custom bodywork, then a handful of other parts I've been collecting for the past month or two. Now, they've just been hanging out in the garage. The reason being, with wrapping a car comes a ton of disassembly. So rather than putting the new parts on and then taking them off for the disassembly, my 2 cents are, since we're going to be taking parts off anyway, let's go ahead and leave the old ones on there, wrap the car, and when it's done, we'll add all the new parts to give it a really nice, new, and fresh feel. I'm really excited to get going. So for day one, the goal is disassembly. We removed the bumper, the headlights, the taillights, the spoiler, the antenna, the mirrors, various trim pieces here and there. With all these pieces removed, went ahead and finished removing the last pieces of wrap and started prepping the car, which is basically just getting the vehicle as clean as possible. Little side note, I did also replace the windshield, being that there was a long crack in it. That was very annoying. This feels definitely very needed if we're going to be going this in-depth on the car, so really happy to have that taken care of. For day two, we started laying down the vinyl. We have worked with this vinyl before, so we had somewhat of familiarity with it, but it is worth noting that it's different than most of the normal vinyl because this is calendar film, not cast film. So if you go to a wrap shop, a lot of times it's really just cast film that they do, which is going to be like 3M, Avery Dennison, and it's usually pretty casually accepted just about everywhere you go. But calendar film is a little bit different because it's thicker, and with that, it does get to be a subtly more difficult install. Now, my 2 cents on this situation are I would much rather have a more difficult install for a color I am absolutely in love with rather than an easier one for a color I just like. Now, for my digging with color options, what I found is that calendar film can give you a really nice depth and glossiness to the finish of the car. What I really wanted to go for was a color that from a distance looks somewhat casual, but as you get closer and you get different lighting conditions on it, you see all these different shifts. That's definitely what I really, really love, especially with a car like this that's, a sedan, not necessarily anything super aggressive or angular. I just think it works really, really well. Day three was super productive, just knocking out as much as we could with everything in line to finish up on day four. It's now day four and the finish line is in sight. We're actually getting very close. All that we have left to do is address some stuff on the bumper, the roof wrap, and then cut off a little excess on the trunk area. That's basically it. So all we're waiting for is Leo to get here. But because of that, we can go ahead and start reinstalling a bunch of parts. So we're gonna start off with the spoiler. So this is the factory style spoiler that I got painted in this nice metallic black with the Spoiler King spoiler extension. Now I clean this thing when I clean the rest of the car, but you can never really get to the underside because it's so tight. So we're gonna go ahead and clean that first, and then we'll install this thing back in the car. I'm not gonna feel the best about this, just because I don't want to like poke holes in the wrap that's like freshly set, but kind of have to. We'll start with that. Now installing the spoiler is actually pretty simple because it's just 4 bolts, but more than just a socket, you can actually use a screwdriver because it has a little Phillips head at the top. There's only 2 things you have to account for in installing a spoiler like this. One is not dropping the hardware because being inside the shell of the trunk might not be the easiest thing to get to. And then 2, you're not gonna have the most space, so it's definitely gonna go by a little bit slower, but it's definitely doable. And that's the spoiler installed. I was also really curious how the color scheme of the taillights would go with the wrap. I think it works pretty well because they kind of bounce off of the gloss black, which makes the wrap pop out a little bit more. See, I love the Fusion. She is a great daily, but my real love for cars comes from this girl, my 67 Impala. She's actually my first car, believe it or not, but being that we need space to wrap the Fusion, it means that I get to move this girl around a little bit. My first time driving a manual transmission while filming at the same time, so let's see how it goes. I guess you can hang out here. Now, I don't know if you can tell, but we are missing a couple pieces, mainly the little corner pieces for the bumper as well as the parking sensors. Did order them on Amazon and they should be here between 3 and 6. It's currently about 1:11. And the other thing is One of the cuts that Leo made for the fog lights, he ended up going just a hair too far and ended up just stretching it. So need to redo that, but we have plenty of material left, especially considering we're not going to be wrapping the roof because the roof is going to be a gloss black. This is probably a good tell where you can see the purple on the hood and then the blue out here. It is subtly low light, but you're getting a little bit of that depth. So it's purple and blue as opposed to just purple and gray. Yeah, feel free to open them.
Yes?
Yeah. They sent me 3.
It's supposed to be 4.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be 4.
Because you paid for the 4, right?
Yeah, it's basically sold in sets of 4. Alright, this one. Don't tell me. Another box. Yep, that's them. That is the corner piece of the bumper that goes on the corner of the bumper. Bumpers are definitely the most tedious aspect to wrap on a car, both front and rear, because they're really large, they're curved, so you need 2 hands just to put it in position. It's not the easiest thing to do, but it's definitely something that when you get it done right, it looks really good because it interacts with so many other components of the car. So despite the extra effort that bumpers need, I think it's going to look really good when it's all back together.
Do I look good?
Oh, absolutely. Your forearm actually looks really muscular.
Yeah, the only problem is the antenna, but since it doesn't have antenna, that's why I just...
Oh yeah, I specifically took off the antenna just so I could be like, that's what I did to help Leo out. The reason I love gloss black roof wraps is they add some depth and some angles to the car that I think can really highlight the overall styling. And one really cool thing you can see right here, now that the emblem is deleted, it's all nice and smooth and it looks really cool. So once we get the grille on and the headlights and the fog lights, I think this front end's gonna look really good. Get this, guys, Leo's asking for my help with pry tools. And look what we got. You can thank my Tili set. She's the one that, whatever you need, feel free to grab it.
Dang, you did measure pretty close.
I mean, he said he measured 4 feet by 5 feet. And so he's like, all right, so we need to get 5 feet by 6 feet. The color for the roof wrap is 3M's gloss black. I believe it's the 2080. And the main goal here is just work from the center outwards, just trying to get it as flat as you can, with the roof actually being a very flat area. It's very simple to do. Didn't take them more than 20 minutes to get this entire job done. But the main goal has been to kind of keep the edges just subtly accessible so that whenever you're squeegeeing, you can kind of lift and flatten everything very specifically because you are going to be tucking it into that crevice of this body line.
You see all those scratches on there right now?
Yeah.
They're gonna disappear.
Oh, that's so cool. I feel like a proud parent right now.
I was about to say, you look very happy.
Next, she's looking gorgeous. Now, while wrapping the gas cap, we were definitely mentioning how there's specific tools that can do this, or you can even go about rolling a window down, laying some vinyl over, just kind of squeezing it through. But he's actually doing it the very, very simple way to kind of show you that it's definitely doable even if you don't have special equipment or special techniques. So all you're really doing is laying the vinyl first flat on the gas cap. Pretty simple. Then for the edges, you're gonna heat them up, and rather than just pull them up, you're gonna pull them kind of towards the center so they'll have that nice level of adhesion to the edges. You can kind of think of it as you're trying to get all the vinyl in one wad that you can just grab with your hand. You are gonna wanna make sure to press some of the vinyl down on the back just so it holds securely. Then you're just gonna cut all the excess off with a knife. It's actually very simple, and he asked me if I wanted to do it, but knowing that he could get it done a lot quicker and better, I just let him knock it out. The car is officially done being wrapped, and she's looking absolutely gorgeous. Now, with wrapping the car obviously comes a ton of disassembly, so we got parts all throughout the garage, inside the car, basically everywhere, so we need to start putting it back together. Now, we're heading to Austin tomorrow at about 9 a.m., and it is currently 12:31, so plenty of stuff to do, but realistically, to get the car roadworthy, all you really need are taillights and headlights. But to not leave odds and ends unattended, we're gonna also do the grille and the fog lights, so decent amount of work cut out for us. Thankfully, while Leo was wrapping up, I was getting all the parts together. So we have the headlights right here, the taillights are inside the car, got the grille right here, and the fog lights are in the trunk, but we have the harness somewhere in that pile. In the Fusion community, these taillights are called the Porsche style taillights because they're styled after a Porsche. There's a few that they can resemble, but I think the one that they follow the closest is the Porsche Cayenne. Now, in my opinion, Porsche has some of the nicest looking taillights, so I'm definitely happy that they took inspiration from them. Now, I've had these headlights just hanging out here in the garage for about a month now, if not closer to 2 months, but I didn't want to put them on the car just because whenever you're like messing with the disassembly, especially with the bumper, these can get scuffed up so easily. So now that the car is wrapped, I feel like it's the ideal time to put them on because we're not going to be messing around with too much past this. So we've been preserving these as long as we can, and it feels really good to finally put these on the car and just move this box out of the garage. And a massive shout out to TT ABC for sending these over. If you order these from their website, you can get yourself 8% off by using my discount code DITO8 at checkout, or you can also get these on Amazon. But these things look awesome, really set the car off perfectly, and they have startup animations, so really can't go wrong with these things. These fog light housings are probably going to be the most satisfying part of this entire job because these are so like brand new and so clean, and kind of like the headlights, they've just been sitting waiting to be installed for so long. This one goes passenger side, so these mount from the inside, and then we mount the fog lights behind it, and then the spears go on the outside. So it's a little back and forth, but should be pretty simple. For the sake of timing, we're not going to put the lower grille on because we don't really need it, and 2, I still haven't taken it off of the old bumper. I was messing with the other components, but we got the fog lights in, we got the harness on the back, we got the upper grille on, so now we can put the bumper on, we can put the little spears on, then she'll be done. Leo left his tape, so we are using it to protect the headlights because I really do not want to get these scuffed up. Like, I feel like for as long as they've been hanging out in here, they gotta last at least that long, just pristine. Okay, I'm just gonna have Yvette get that little part off. Well guys, we made it. Now the main thing is the garage is a mess, so we need to basically put everything up, move the cars around, then we'll be good to go. Because we gotta get going, we're not gonna do a full reveal on the car just yet, because we still have a ton of parts left to install. But the good news is the car is roadworthy, so I think that's a good stopping point. So that's gonna do it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.